You're tuned into the It's Real podcast with your hosts, Kayla Callender and Andrew Yagi. Each week, we'll talk about what happens behind the scenes working full-time in real estate and share with you real-life stories, our successes and failures as we work to help consumers and industry professionals reach their real estate and real-life goals. Here we go.
It's episode 46 of the It's Real podcast. I'm Kayla Callender and I'm a mortgage lender.
And I'm Andrew Yagi and I'm a real estate agent. And Kayla, I'm so grateful that you remember how to introduce us because I feel like it's been a hot minute or two since we've recorded an episode.
I know, and people are noticing. They're like, hey, I haven't seen your podcast for a week or two. What's going on?
Have you really had people mention it to you?
I have. I've had a few people. They really hop on LinkedIn or Facebook Live. That's where they're getting it. And then I also have a really good friend. Her name is Rachel, and she's just so dedicated to us. And she's like, I love this. And she's not even in real estate. And she's like, this is where I get my data, my info. So sorry to our fans that we've taken a little break. Andrew and I have been a little busy, but all for good things, right?
I would say all for good things. Well, and really just all in helping people reach their goals, right? Because people always ask, hey, how's the real estate market? As they ask you as well. And I always tell people, hey, that's a very interesting question. Why do you ask? Because it really does, depend on what side of the aisle or, are you a buyer? Are you a seller, investor, whatever the case? And so I kind of liken the market, up to this point or up to maybe the beginning of May, Kayla, it's kind of, ebbed and flowed. It's been kind of touch and go, busy and then slow and whatever. And now, I feel like in May, it just has been bananas.
It has.
I've seen some properties, especially if they're desirable, sell over $20,000 over asking. Even some that are maybe slightly less desirable, really, fetching a nice sum.
Well, and the thing is you and I've talked, people are starting to become okay with the market. They're starting to understand that this wasn't just a little blip on the radar. They're seeing it as, okay, this is something that is not going away. If I want to, be in a home and start creating, wealth, this is what I might need to do now. And so people are starting to come to terms with that a little bit more. So that's been what I've noticed.
Yeah, absolutely right. And you're right. I mean, obviously, we've seen a lot of people, through the course of this year, the more motivated ones, the ones that are like, hey, I need to make a move, whether it's something related to, to work, a changing life circumstance, a death, a divorce, some other change, downsizing. And now there are a lot of other people who are in the marketplace. And the thing that, it's been really interesting to me is even the number of people, Kayla, out there who they approach me and they're like, hey, I really want to buy a home, but my credit's no good. Or, I've had this issue. I know I can't get into a home, but what options? Do you know of any rentals? It's like, well, hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk about your goals and let's work towards a plan for you. And actually, again, like we always say, if you align yourself with a professional and someone who really knows what they're doing in the real estate realm and is well connected, home ownership may not be that out of reach for you.
And I think it's when you talk to the right people. And I just got off a call with someone at a title company, and we were talking about how the mainstream media is so confusing for people, whether it's, the NAR settlement or it's interest rates or it's, the Biden administration, whatever it may be. There's a lot of things that are a lot of noise, and clients, consumers, they get confused. And you and I talk about this a lot, but when you're told just go shop a payment and just go and shop a rate, and you're literally comparing your rent payment to a mortgage payment, and all you see is the payment difference, and no one's educating you on the appreciation gain or paying down your own mortgage and gaining equity and the tax benefits. When you're only just calling to hear a rate and a payment, you're not getting educated on the full picture. And so I think that, as we continue on in our careers, you and I are even noticing it takes time to be able to understand the benefits. Just like you don't rush through to pick a doctor for a surgery, or you don't just rush through to even find a house. You don't go with the cheapest house or the cheapest doctor. You find your options and you decide what's best for you. And I think there's just a lot of noise right now still, in our industry.
Absolutely. And I was going to ask you because I feel like someone struck a nerve with you, Kayla, somewhere along the lines recently. Because I was on Facebook and I kind of found your reel that talks about that very topic that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
People going and basically saying, hey, what, be sure to shop your rate.
You
When
know,
whereas, go ahead.
when when I see industry professionals, so I had seen a realtor that posted, "Hey, when you're talking to a lender, make sure you're shopping rates, find the cheapest rate." And the whole message was cheap rate, find the rate, shop around. It's a race to the bottom. You can make 100 dials and find someone cheaper that day, and a Quicken or a Rocket or where I work or someone local, and then the market shifts in an hour. And so the reason that I made that reel was it just broke my heart because I see people that chase a rate and then I see them get in these situations where they're paying way more in closing costs. They're in an adjustable rate mortgage. Their goal is to maybe move out of their house in 2 years because they're a traveling nurse or something of that sort. And so it doesn't make sense to pay all this money. Or maybe they need the down payment assistance to be able to afford the house, and that's not even offered. And so when I see these comments from industry professionals just saying, go and shop a rate, that's like saying, go and make sure the home that you find is the cheapest. Doesn't matter if it meets your needs, find the cheapest. Or, when you're choosing where to go for your anniversary dinner, make sure, you tell Katie, hey, we got to go to the cheapest. If that was the case, everyone would be having their anniversary dinners at McDonald's. And so I like to bring this up because the clients that I see getting excited and motivated and feeling confident and not scared on closing day signing on the bottom line, it's literally because they're educated and it's not because they're chasing a rate. And they're making the decision to buy a house and lock in the rate that they want because they're educated and empowered. So it struck a nerve because I'm super passionate about education for our clients.
I like that, Kayla. What I don't like is you saying that McDonald's maybe isn't adequate for an anniversary dinner. What if it was Katie's dream to have a chicken nugget Happy Meal for our anniversary?
I feel like I know your wife enough to know that she's just, I think she'd want a glass of wine with her meal, and I just don't think McDonald's would serve that. So,
Yeah, you could be right. She's not a wine fan, but she probably would want a cocktail on such an.
okay. Well, point being, maybe
I,
McDonald's isn't right.
I hear you, and I'm with you too. And so to get back on topic, it's the same with what we do. And I've had people coming to us and like, hey, I don't want to pay for your service, or I'm shopping around a little bit, and that's fine. Like I might not be the agent for you or for everybody, but we run a very premium marketing program here, and we're great when it comes to communications, and we're doing things that 99% of agents aren't doing, things like video to promote properties. And you know what? We're not charging any more than an average agent out there, but
Yeah.
you're going to get great service. You're going to get great marketing expertise, market savvy. And so, yeah, absolutely right. But it comes down to, Kayla, go find your people, and the rest will take care of itself.
Have the conversations. I keep thinking about how, people make such, big decisions, and they're very methodical about it with other things in their life. I see people when they go through a home build and like all the decisions that they make. And I see when people go through, like we talked about before, if they have to get surgery somewhere and they're going through, what their options, as a doctor, they're presenting you your options. Here's ABC. You go through those, just like I said, so methodically. And with one of the largest purchases, and truthfully, this is where you're going to live for probably a long time. It's where your family's going to be and where you have holidays. And I know that my home is my oasis at the end of the day. Why are people rushing to just ask a rate? I think it's just because that's all they've been taught. It's
Yep.
really not their
We
fault.
don't know. We don't know what else to ask, so we're going to
Yeah.
ask. The only piece we know is price or rate. So,
Yep.
speaking of rate, Kayla, where are we seeing rates? I feel like rates have been just kind of all over the board, but
Mhm.
are rates good? Is it a good time to buy? Where are we sitting?
Right now we're right around that 7 mark, depending on the day, for a 30-year fixed. You can see, I always like to talk about FHA. It's going to be a little bit less, and VA kind of the same, 6.65. So we've seen it's been a little bit volatile the last couple of weeks, but for the most part, we're not seeing much jump up or down. We're not seeing huge shift in rates. The people that are on the fence are, watching the rates, but at some point, I think a lot of them have said, okay, this might be here to stay a little longer. We heard, back in 23 they might drop. Then we heard 24 beginning. Now we're hearing July. Then we hear October, and then it's hopefully by the end of the year or next year. And I think, in general, what I'm hearing is that within a year we should see some shift, but we really just don't know. It's got to be, if home ownership makes sense for you, you can't chase the rate. And as I tell my clients, if you're okay with the payment at this rate today, I say move forward, because hopefully within 12 months you can be refinancing. So
right on, Kayla. What about over your friends at North Dakota Housing?
Yeah, so North Dakota housing rates have come up a little bit. I always look at that top one because there's so many options, but at one point we were seeing 4.75 for that first home government loan there. And so, they've come up a quarter, 3/8, give or take, but still, I mean, if you can get into a home for 5.15, 5.4, again, they're income-based programs, they're first and repeat options for you. But this is where, again, it comes down to talk to your lender, see if you can qualify for some other programs, because that 5.1, 5.6, that's a lot more attractive than, the 6.65, 7%.
Yep, absolutely right. So I guess at the end of the day, know there are options, and, and of course, not to necessarily shop a lender, but go find someone you're comfortable with, someone that's going to provide good service. And Kayla, I've seen, with other clients, and I think you've talked about it before too, where, some lenders out there that, hey, I'll get you a better rate than what Kayla might have quoted, but, they're basically paying to buy it down, and their closing costs are just through the roof.
Yeah. And I think too, right now, people are looking at the rate and not the fees. And so I'll have conversations and I'll say, hey, how long do you plan to have this loan for, or this house for? And they're like, I'm not really sure. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty normal. But, rates might come down in a year, but you're paying so much money that your break even point is 6 years. So if you don't think rates are going to come down in 6 years, or that you might be moving within those 6 years, why are you paying so much in fees when your break even point is that far out? So it's just about the education.
Right, for sure.
Mhm.
Well, we're seeing more and more movement in the market, Kayla, which is kind of fun. And, maybe good to share just some quick market stats as well, because a lot of people are always asking, hey, what's on the market? Are homes selling? And so we have seen, I'll share your market, the Fargo market first. You can just see that, there's been obviously a little bit of a drop off in listings over the winter, and listings are steadily increasing. List prices continue to be up, meaning that, of course, home prices are generally appreciating. A lot of people have been sitting and worrying that, hey, we're gonna see a huge fallout, and home values are going to drop. Just really hasn't happened and isn't likely to happen. I want to talk about absorption rate, Kayla, and that, of course, means the number of months supply homes on the market. Generally, anything less than 6 months supply of homes on the market is a seller's market. Anything over that, a buyer's market. And so we still don't have a lot of inventory. You can see here where, there's less than 3 months inventory in the Fargo market. We can see more inventory has come on, which is inherent of spring as well. And homes are selling, pretty close to listing price, maybe a few concessions. Days on market's dropping, which mean homes are selling fairly quickly, continuing kind of a rapid sale on average, 50 days, which is a little bit longer than, kind of last fall and last, kind of spring through summer as well. Looking just really quickly on the marketplace I'm in kind of the Fergus Falls and greater Otter Tail Lakes area, you can kind of see many of the same factors, except we have a lot fewer homes for sale, less than, 1.5 months supply of homes. People are getting maybe a slightly better deal here in this marketplace, and homes kind of a few more days on market, kind of in the middle 50s. But I still say if homes are desirable and they're priced right, they're selling really quite quickly.
Right. And I think too, right now it kind of depends on the price point. I'm noticing, depending on what range people are shopping, and I'm seeing some are getting seller concessions, some are offering under, but I'm still seeing, and maybe this is new, or you're saying this too, Andy, is when people are making offers, some are going over asking depending on that price range, depending upon the amount of people wanting to make an offer. What are you seeing?
Yeah, for sure. We are seeing people willing to pay over. I just listed one of my brother's homes up in Thief River Falls, and we've had, I think, probably 13 showings, and
Wow.
and we'll have quite a number of offers to look at. But even in their marketplace, they have even fewer homes for sale, and they have a lot of big employers: Articat, DigiKey. There are
Wow.
even
Yeah.
a strong medical and county government. So there are constantly people coming in, and just not a lot of homes. Just kind of like
Mhm.
everywhere else.
Are you seeing in I was having this conversation yesterday with someone in smaller markets, like think about my hometown, Walhalla or Nichi Pemina, these smaller markets where there's not a lot of homes in general. When a home comes on the market in these smaller towns, is it harder to sell or is it easier to sell because there isn't a ton of homes? Like what do you see in kind of smaller towns as a realtor?
I think it can go both ways for sure. So on one hand, if it even makes it to market, because there are so many people that, hey, I know that the Johnson place is coming and I really want it and I might buy it.
Yeah.
Most people want to put it on the market, kind of test the market, see what's going to happen. So it may not even hit the market. If it does hit the market, if it's a desirable house, once again, I think it's going to move pretty quick.
Mhm.
Um, but I have seen in some, and even looking at some of my original hometown and some of the surrounding communities, there are some homes that do sit for a little bit if they aren't as desirable, or if maybe they're not priced right. Because there are some people today that they think their property is worth a mint, and it maybe isn't necessarily the case.
Mhm. Yeah, and a lot of those houses too, it's been in the family maybe longer, things like that that you deal with. But I was just a question that I had, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to ask Andy that because I wonder if they fly off or if they sit for a bit. So
Yeah, no, that's a really good and actually a really really interesting question. I it's really interesting. A couple of years ago, I had a client who moved to Fergus Falls, and we sold her a new construction build, and she was coming from a very rural community, kind of from my original neck of the woods, if you will. And I was talking because her purchasing was contingent on her home selling, so I was talking to her agent up there, and this particular brokerage, like, I'm looking around and I'm a member of a good number of MLSs, can't find it. Looking on Zillow, can't find it. So I talked to the agent and I'm like, hey, like, what MLS are you a part of? Well, we're a part of the national MLS. It's like, well, there really isn't a national MLS. There's like some online website, but there was one brokerage that they don't even list their properties publicly. So it's like a big book of pocket listings.
oh
And
wow.
if you don't know them and don't talk with them, you don't
Yeah.
put
How do you know?
properties out there, which
Hmm.
honestly just really floored me. And I mean, I guess they do business that way and it works. But
Yeah.
I also think, like, one of the biggest reasons the MLS database was put together was for cooperating and sharing data and getting
Mhm.
it out there for the public. So in my mind, they're doing their clients a huge disservice.
It's a service.
But I guess there are still some areas of the world in which that is kind of the way
They
they do business.
operate. Yeah, it's like people doing handwritten mortgage applications. That's still a thing too,
Or
apparently.
purchase agreements too. I mean, I still have some agents come and even, and I'm sure you see it too in mortgage, but the frustrating piece sometimes is seeing, just the fact in real estate that the barriers to entry are really, really low. Like in Minnesota,
Mhm.
90 hours of education to get your license. And then,
Yeah.
you can go out and sell a home. And again, we've talked in past episodes how, half of the agents out there that are licensed sell 0 to 1 homes per year, which leads to increased costs and increase in competence. And I mean, I see some agents out there, including one who just sent me a purchase agreement, that I
Mhm.
would literally, if we accepted their offer, have to counter their offer back to correct about 12 errors or omissions on it.
Mhm.
And
And
it's
I
just like it makes me very sad for our industry, just because the lack sometimes of professionalism and incompetence in
Mhm.
what is a huge asset and a big deal for so many people.
I agree with that, and I think that, with all the noise around NAR and all the things, like, this is a good thing, at the end of the day, we are just setting ourselves up to be able to educate and provide more value to our consumers, be more clear. It's not that there's big changes technically even happening, but the way that the media makes it sound, it's like, pandemonium, but at the end of the day, if you are a realtor or lender providing excellent service, I mean, the cream always rises. And so this is going to be, in my opinion, I think really good for our industry.
Yeah, I'm with you, Kayla, too. I think there are some good changes that are coming, which obviously we've talked a little bit about in the
Mhm.
past, and we'll probably talk about a little bit more down the road as
Yeah.
things kind of change. But I'm excited about everything that's going on in the real estate industry, all the potential changes, and I even look at in our local marketplace and in other places, like even we're really working on ways to help people get into home ownership, to become homeowners, working on affordable housing. We're going to, build a spec home here this
Yeah.
year, and we're going to, kind of dabble in development a little bit and kind of see what we can do to help, change the local
Mhm.
landscape.
Yeah, and I think that's how you do it, and it's one of those things too where, you are constantly educating yourself, and you yourself are investing in rentals and setting yourself up to even, share your experiences here on the podcast and with your clients, and you're the epitome of someone that, if I wanted to buy or sell, like, would never second guess, because I know you've been through it personally, and it's what you do for your profession and you're passionate about it.
Yeah. Well, the same for you, Kayla. I think that, obviously, and I still think back to meeting you at NDSU freshman year and you working at Choice Financial, the Walmart branch on 13th Avenue. And just the fact that,
Oh,
you've really been dedicated to banking.
yeah,
And I mean,
we don't.
I think back, all of those years ago, and I mean, I would have no idea that I would be sitting, in this chair today and helping people reach their real estate goals, kind of like
Mhm.
you maybe wouldn't have thought the same the same thing. But I think it's really exciting and really, really interesting as
Yeah.
well. And also fun to kind of work alongside you and kind of, brainstorm and strategize and kind of think like, hey, how can we be there for people and help
Yeah.
them reach their goals through what can be a very, very difficult time.
Yeah, and it's crazy just the path that you take, and what was it? What did we graduate? Oh nine, was it? I mean, look, I mean, who would have thought? So go Bison.
Go Bison, indeed. So,
Oh.
Kayla, do you have any final thoughts today as we kind of wrap up kind of our today's episode 46?
It's gonna be the same thing on repeat. Have conversations, align yourself with the right people. Don't listen to the media. There's gonna be tons of news and things that are out there, but if you can take the time, an hour, 2 hours of your life to be able to talk to a lender and realtor, just do it, because this is a big deal. And if you do it the wrong way, it can be life changing. And if you do it the right way, it can be life changing.
Mhm. Ooh, I like that.
Mhm.
Either way can be life changing,
It can
but
be. It can
but
be.
kind of the success is it's up to you.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if you're not doing the work to, put in to, hit your goals, then the results probably won't be what you want. And I think I just continue to bring this up because I continue to see people not taking the time, and then I see the people that are, and it's just a world of difference.
Mhm. Yep. I would agree with you. And I think, make the time and follow the process. Like in our office, we don't work with that many buyers. We mostly
Yeah.
work with home sellers, but the buyers that we work with are going to follow our plan, which means, hey, you're going to come in and we're going to sit down, we're going to visit. I want to get to know
Mhm.
you. I want to get to know your pain points. What are your goals and your dreams? And I want to make sure we're looking for the right house. There are so many people out there, like we talked earlier, that just talk price, 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 rate, and that's the only thing that matters.
Mhm.
But I think if more people would dive in and work through the process, and even those that do come through my door, Kayla, and are willing to work through the process, we have amazing success for them. So just
Mhm.
find someone that you like to work with and follow
Yeah,
the process.
I agree. And also, before we head out, I want to know, what is the Yagi family doing for Memorial Day weekend?
Oh, that's a great question. I've been just so nose to the grindstone. I haven't even thought ahead to the holiday weekend, but I don't know. Actually, I should say that I suspect my wife has, some pretty intricate plans for us. Um, so I think we're going to hang out in the Fergus area a little bit. I think we'll be around Otter Tail Lake. Actually, Kayla, I'm sure you're going to be out around the lake. And if you are, we're having an open house Sunday on kind of the southeast side of Otter Tail Lake, kind of a new development from noon to 2. Norwood Beach Development is what it's called. And so you guys should swing out and kind of take a look. I'd love to get your feedback. But we'll
Yeah.
be doing an open house, probably doing a little bit of real estate
Yeah.
but also relaxing a little bit. How about you?
I've got I have what 18 nieces and nephews. So one of them graduates this weekend, so we'll head up to Pembina to celebrate her, and then we're having some friends to the lake. And I think I haven't really talked to them, but for a couple days, and the weather looks okay. We'll see, but I'm hoping Taryn doesn't have too many plans to work at the lake. It's more just fun. It's
Sure.
and a little relaxing.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
Well, good for you. I hope you enjoy the weekend. I hope I see you at the open house, and Kayla, it's great to
I
connect
wrote it down.
and get back on track. And so
Yeah.
we look forward to connecting for another episode next week. Enjoy the rest of the day.
I will if you will.
See ya.
See ya.